Testimony in the Lindsay Clancy trial is expected to end today after a heated day in court yesterday. The defense called for a mistrial after a witness brought up Clancy's religion. The judge denied that request, and now that witness is back on the stand. ABC's Peter Haralambis and ABC legal contributor Shauna Lloyd have more on this. Hi, Peter. What's the latest from court?
Yeah, Diane, the testimony from this forensic psychologist is back on. He just finished up his direct examination, getting cross-examination by the defense. And separate and apart from the whole mistrial issue yesterday, this testimony is really key to the prosecution argument about what motivated Clancy, especially if it wasn't psychosis. He's essentially arguing two things. One, tried to cast doubt on the argument that it was psychosis by highlighting that she only heard this voice in her head once, that her systems were kind of inconsistent with that she was more likely disassociating in those moments. And second, providing kind of an alternate theory of motive here. His argument is that Clancy is someone who was controlling and disciplined throughout her entire life, and that after her mental health began to decline right around October 2022, and she began seeing all these experts and doctors, she became frustrated that her symptoms could not get under control, that she was declining, that she couldn't really do anything about it. She then considered suicide, and in her state at that point, she decided to kill her children as well because she thought that would prevent their suffering, that they'd be better off dead rather than without a mother. It's a theory called by this expert altruistic filicide, basically this argument that she thought she was saving her children by killing them and then trying to commit suicide.
Shauna, this sounds a little different than what the other prosecution witness said, the psychiatrist expert who was on the stand. What's the prosecution trying to do here?
So essentially what the prosecution is trying to show is that even if you believe that she was suffering from a mental defect, that the mental defect didn't affect her so much that she couldn't appreciate the criminality of what she was doing. So that's what the prosecution is trying to show by even having two psychologists who differ in their opinion about what type of mental defect that she was suffering from. The one thing they were both consistent is that despite the mental defect, she could appreciate that what she was doing was wrong and that was a criminal act, and therefore she is guilty of first-degree murder. And that's what the prosecution is looking to show, and that's what these experts are highlighting.
And Sean, I want to play that moment that led to the mistrial motion yesterday.
I asked her about that when I said, isn't suicide a mortal sin?
Yeah, can I see counsel over here?
So this is the second time religion has come up in this trial and been shot down by the judge. Why does it keep coming up, and why is it such an issue for the defense?
So, Diane, the reason it's coming up is because she made statements when she was in the process of strangling the children, where she said and was told that she wanted them to go and be with God. That's the center of what they're trying to get at. The prosecution keeps trying to tease out this idea that her religion impacted and shows that she knew what she was doing and that she made a choice. Why is this not okay? Religion cannot be used to show the truthfulness or to attack the credibility of a defendant. That's not allowed in our legal system. Also, it's overly prejudicial for the jury. These are topics, and religion is a very sensitive topic that people can have certain feelings about when they hear things such as mortal sin or what her religious practices were. And that type of prejudice can sway or influence potentially the verdict. And that is exactly why the defense objected, because what they're saying is that this type of prejudicial information could change the way this verdict comes out. And that is what is not allowed within our court proceedings. And that's why it was such a vigorous argument, especially seeing as this had already happened last week. So as far as the defense is concerned, it seems that it was deliberate on the side of the prosecution, which they argue it was not.
Peter, the prosecution has one more witness after this. What are you expecting from the rest of the day?
Yeah, so we're going to hear from this witness who's on the stand and then their third and final rebuttal witness. We expect the jury is going to be sent home early today and that we're going to have a charge conference in the afternoon. Closing arguments could be as early as tomorrow morning, though for now it seems as though Reddington is going to spend a lot of time on cross-examination here. This is critical testimony for him to push back on. He just, for example, was trying to cast doubt on this expert's credibility, highlighting the fact that he made tens of thousands of dollars serving as an expert in this case.
And Shauna, the charge conference is over what kind of instructions the judge will give the jury here. What are you watching for there? Any debates you're already predicting?
Absolutely, Diane. There is going to be a lot of debate around the idea of the mental defect and how it factors into first-degree murder and the premeditation act, because that is something that can actually state, well, she is not guilty by reason of insanity. So that's going to be a very big sticking point, because you have to remember that the jury gets to take this into the deliberation room with them. They're not going to get any further information, and they'll be redirected back to these jury instructions should they have a question about the law. So these jury instructions are vital in how they are going to make the determination about this mental defect and whether or not it affected her criminal culpability. So it's going to be very significant, and that's why you're going to see them go through this very meticulously.
Peter Harlan, Bashana Lloyd, thank you.
Thank you.